We live in a world full of self-proclaimed experts and people who love to give unsolicited advice, especially when it comes to health. A lot of this so-called advice on how to be healthy and function better is given by people who have no business talking about anything about health, as they are sloppy, unfit, and out of shape, making them some of the biggest hypocrites out there. I used to be one of these hypocrites myself, who would lecture people all day long in my clinic about how to get healthy and out of pain. But I was fat, depressed, and in pain myself. In this episode, I share my journey and awakening on the importance of making my health my number one priority, and how it got so bad that I almost lost everything, including my practice and life. This isn't meant to be critical of people who are unhealthy and don't prioritize their health, but more of a wake-up call and lessons to learn from my errors in not focusing on my own. I hope you learn something useful from my own mistakes and don't go down the path that I went. Welcome back to the Soft Tissue Treatment Revolution podcast, where we teach overworked massage therapists a better treatment system that will allow you to cut your treatment times by at least 50% so you can stay healthy, avoid the dreaded burnout, and help a hell of a lot more people get out of pain. If you're new to the show, you don't know who I am, my name is Dr. Matt Maggio. I am a soft tissue injury treatment expert specifically for neck, shoulder, elbow, and wrist pain. My focus is on finding and fixing scar tissue and then reducing inflammation from chronic injuries without the use of drugs, injections, or surgeries, which does lead to a significant increase in overall functioning and long-lasting pain relief. Thanks so much for stopping by and checking out the show. Fat, depressed, and always in pain. How being a hypocrite about my own health almost ruined me. So I'm a little short on time. I missed doing the podcast last week. I've been sharing with you over the last couple weeks that I am actually opening up a brand spanking new clinic here in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm doing real world shit. I'm running a business that's going to be very busy, has a lot going on. Unlike many of the other technique gurus out there teaching nonsense that haven't been in the real world for a long time, but want to teach you how to run a business and do that, and they don't have a fucking clue. I do. This is not my full-time job. I am not a full-time trainer or content creator. I am a real practitioner doing real world shit. And the reason that I share all this content and put everything out there is for one reason only, because I think the conservative care model is completely fucked. I think chiropractors are not good at what they do. I don't think physical therapy helps at all. I think people need access to quality hands-on soft tissue treatment, and massage therapists are the best equipped to do that. But sometimes you guys are all over the place. You don't know what the fuck you're doing or where you're going. So I'm just trying to be a voice of reason, give you some different data, and really show you the idea that you can start solving problems and not just providing services and working like a dog to not get a whole lot of results and getting paid like shit. So that's why I put this out there, so we can help more and more people stay the fuck away from pain pills, injections, and surgeries, which just ruin people's lives and have created a whole epidemic of its own. There we go. So yeah, fat, depressed, always in pain, how I was a hypocrite about my own health, and it pretty much almost ruined me. So let's go back to 2017. How old was I then? I was 32 years old. About 3 months before that, my dad had just died of a pain pill overdose after a bunch of surgeries and all sorts of shit he didn't need. He died at 58. I had to pull him off life support. I talk about that all the time, and having to see that and go through all that was really fucked up, but I won't bore you with all of that. But it really helped motivate me to really get this care to more people. I'm like, fuck, we got to clean up the conservative care model because people are just getting fucking murdered by the medical system. So my dad had just died. And at that point, I'd gotten pretty depressed. I was about 100 pounds overweight. I played football in college. I played defensive line. I was always in pretty good shape, but after college, I still wanted to eat like I was a college defensive lineman. And before I knew it, I got fat as fuck. And I was about 100 pounds overweight. At that point, my body was always fucked up. I always had problems. My neck was bad. My back was bad. Everything like that, playing football and abusing my body for a lot of years did not set me up in a good place. I barely got any treatment from other providers, maybe once every couple months. Barely worked out. I mean, I might walk, but I didn't work out. I drank way too much, and I definitely ate like shit. I was one that had no problem putting down a whole pizza and 2 dozen wings and finishing off one of those cubes of wine in one sitting. Yeah, it was bad. And during this whole time, I was working like a dog to build my clinic up. I talked about this in some of my earlier podcasts. I used to get up at like 2:30, 2:45 in the morning, just grind and grind and grind and grind some more. It would be bad. I would go so hard, and then I'd come home after work and I just want to crash. Honestly, my body was sore. Everything hurt. I was hungry. I probably was like going through withdrawals from drinking before and not eating the shit and eating all that shitty food. And all I wanted to do was come home and crash, smoke a shit ton of weed, eat a bunch of food, and I'd fall asleep by 6:00 every night because, I'm getting up at 2:30. I needed that sleep. So I'd go to sleep at 6:00 every night, and I was in pain. I could never get comfortable. I tossed and turned for 2 or 3 hours because either my neck hurt, my back hurt, something fucking hurt all the time. And I would dread getting up the next day. Every day. This was like, it was like that movie Groundhog Day, where it's like, I'd get up, I'd do all the shit, go in the clinic, do my best, help as many people as possible, tell them to be healthy, tell them what to do. And then I would just go home and I'd be fucking miserable. And then I had a really bad day. Really, really bad day. It's a day when I almost ended it all. When I say ended it all, yeah, I tried to, well, I didn't try. I contemplated taking my own life, and I almost went through with it. At this time I was actually living at home. I had moved back home at the age of 32 because I put everything, all my savings, all my earnings into building my clinic, and I was kind of broke at that point. I didn't have a lot of extra money, and I had to live with my mom, move back in with my mom. Here I am, 32 years old, living with my mom. And I remember I came home one day and like I had gotten up that morning and my neck was fucking killing me. My back hurt. I couldn't even make it. I didn't know how I was going to make it through work. And I went to work and I think I saw like 25 patients that day. And all I wanted to do was go home, and I could barely, like, the one thing I looked forward to every single day was coming home and like getting an ice pack and just laying down for 20 or 30 minutes and meditating. It always made me feel better. And even during that meditation, like everything hurt and I couldn't even focus on that. And I had this panic attack. I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? Like, this is horrible. This is awful. And, I looked over and I had my handgun sitting on my dresser. And, I always carried my gun with me. My practice was in like a questionable area, and there was a lot of riffraff in there as well. So I always carried a gun and had that there. And I looked at my gun and I said, you know what? This could take away all my pain. This could end it. And I wouldn't have to deal with this shit anymore. And I picked up the gun and held it in my hands and started thinking about everything and, how I would do it, and what, if I needed to write a note for my mom, or like, is there a certain place I should go so I don't make as big of a mess? All that shit like just went through my head, and I went to this really, really dark place. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I don't want to be in pain anymore. This is no way to live life. Luckily, for some fucking reason, my mom came home early from work that day and I heard her. And I snapped out of it, put my gun down, got my shit together. She came in to talk to me and she knew something was wrong, and I didn't want to tell her the full story, but I did. She got concerned, started crying, all that stuff. And it was a hard day. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad I didn't do it. I'm glad she came home because I was going to do it. So yeah, at that point I was like, all right, man, we got to get some shit together. We got to start getting some shit together. And, I made some changes for a while, but what really changed it all for me, in all honesty, was my mentor back in 2017. He was just honest with me. He told me, he said, you know what, Matt, you're really unhealthy looking and you don't seem to prioritize your health, and people are not going to take you seriously as a practitioner. If you're looking like you are, you're severely overweight, you clearly have problems. Like, you need to get this in order to get people to take you seriously, but also just to make sure you don't burn out and keep going. He didn't even know that I thought about killing myself and that I went that deep, but I was like, fuck, you know what? But in all honesty, it hurt when he said it, but I needed to hear it because so many other people in my life that loved me and cared about me, they're like, oh, it's okay. You're just big bone. You got a big appetite. You're a football player. It's okay to be like that. No, it's not okay to be like that. They needed to be honest with me. They needed to be honest and say, hey man, you're going down a dark path that isn't going to be fucking great. And no one was honest with me, and I almost lost my life because of it. So at that point, I realized it wasn't about me. You know, we always try to find like internal motivations when that can only go so far. And I realized it was like external. It's like, do I really want people to end up like my dad, dead on pain pills at 58 and unhealthy and everything like that? Because if I'm going down that path, I'm going to be that same way, and I'm not going to be able to help anybody. So I have to help myself first, but my real goal was so I help myself so I could help more people. Imagine when shit hits the fan and you're in a bad place, the best thing you can do to get out of it is to pour into somebody else and help them. And that helped me. And I started making changes. I made a lot of changes. I started eating better. I started working out. I started getting treatment. But unfortunately, it was almost too late. At that point, I ended up blowing out my neck and back about 6 months later, like real bad. And it had all been building up, and I thought I could bargain with it and, compromise with it, but it ended up getting fucked up. And you know what? I had to be out of my own clinic that I built from fucking scratch, blood, sweat, and tears for 6 months. And I had to fly from Florida to Boston 2 times a month to get treatment. I was finally making it a priority. Now I was listening, and I thought I was done. I figured I was done. That was it. I was just going to go into more of a managerial role. I already had like other providers working for me in the clinic and all that. And I'm like, this is just how it's going to be. I'm going to be fucked up and in pain, but it's my own fault. And I really started to accept it. I'm like, you fucked up, man. You didn't make it a priority. You didn't do the things that you needed to do. And this is the price you have to pay. And I was like, that's it, but I didn't want to fully accept it. And I kept searching for more and more and like trying to find that willpower and that motivation. And then I started realizing that willpower and motivation are bullshit because they don't actually work. And these people have to go on willpower and they have to go on motivation. What I was lacking was discipline. Discipline was everything. And I heard Jocko Willink say it once. He said, discipline equals freedom. And then I found 75 hard, and it changed everything. Before, I was running on willpower, not discipline. And I would get there, but I would never see it through because I didn't have the discipline. So what is discipline to me? Discipline is doing the things you know you should do, even when you don't feel like doing them, every single day. So those of you that don't know what 75 Hard, it is a mental toughness program. Most people think it's like a diet or exercise. It is not. It is a mental toughness program. And for 75 straight days, you have to do 2 workouts, 45 minutes each. One has to be outside regardless of the elements. I've been in rain. I've been in snow. I've been in all sorts of shit. No alcohol. Stick to a diet. No cheat meals. Read 10 pages a day of a physical book. Take a progress picture every single day and drink a gallon of water. Yeah, it was hard, but I did it. And you know what? I've done it several times. And actually, I do a fucking 75 hard every day. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I'm a monk, as you might say. You might say, oh, well, that's boring and you got to live life. And yeah, I get it. You want to have that work-life balance. But here's the thing. I can't go back to that old version of myself, that depressed, that fat, that overweight, that sad, that angry, that in pain person ever again. And I'm not someone that can do things in moderation. So I got to hold myself accountable every single day. It is literally life and death for me, because if I slip, I'm going back to a path that I don't want to go down in a life that I don't want to have. The problem that I see, though, is there's too many sloppy, injured, and banged up providers out there. And they're telling people how to get healthy, and they're not healthy themselves. And I say this to myself because I was one of those people. I'd be like, oh yeah, you gotta drink water and exercise and eat right. And here I am, a fat fuck with gelatinous titties just spilling out, not having any business whatsoever telling anyone how to be healthy because I wasn't healthy myself. And honestly, you know what? I'm allowed to fat shame some people and call some people out because I was myself. I get it. It's really fucking hard when you've gotten that big, that out of shape, and you're trying to do a job that is physical in nature. Fuck. You're just adding on to it. So in life, you know, you got to choose your hard. So it's going to be, it's going to be hard regardless of what you do. It's going to be hard to be a fat shit that doesn't work out, that's in pain all the time. And it's also going to be hard to be someone that gets healthy, meal preps, exercises, gets treatment, and does the right thing. But you know what? That hard actually has some positive benefits on the back end of it. So how to make all this work for yourself? You're finally like, hey man, that's me. I'm unhealthy. I didn't take care of myself. I feel like shit all the time. I feel like a hypocrite, but I don't know what to do. Here's what to do. Try out 75 hard to start. Don't even try it. Like, just fucking commit that you're going to do it. It's a boot camp for mental toughness and discipline, not a diet, not any other bullshit like that. It's going to change you into a fucking discipline machine, because discipline, once I said again, is being willing to do the things you need to do, even when you don't want to do them. Next thing is, I just made my health my number one priority. I have a new schedule in my office going forward. I only see patients Monday through Thursday, 12 to 2:30 and 4 to 6:30. And that allows me a schedule in the morning where I can do the things I need to do, food prep, work out, get treatment, everything I need to do. And I can do that because the reason I can do that and have that flexible schedule where it doesn't matter where I am, I don't have to work nights, weekends, holidays, mornings, whatever. I can do that because I spent so much time getting so fucking good at what I do that I have no real competition. And I can be in the clinic, whatever works for me, because no one else around me has any competition. You might be, oh, that's cocky, that's arrogant. No, it ain't, motherfucker. It's because I put the work in. I've been working fucking hard for the last 13 years to get so good at this that nobody can even touch me. And you know what? It doesn't matter when I'm there, because clients are going to come in because they want to get their problem solved. Next thing is, I don't listen to or take any health advice from someone that doesn't look the part or practice what they preach. You know, honestly, fuck those people. They're the worst. You know, I remember one time I went to a doctor and he was like 350 fucking pounds and he was telling me about like lifestyle changes. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, dude. It'd be like going to a dentist with busted ass teeth that tells you to brush and floss more. Like, these people are fucking hypocrites. And you know what? I was one of those too. And if you're one of them too, don't be like that. And then another thing I do is I act as if my life is on the line. And if I don't take care of myself, it literally will be. Because if I go back to that dark place, I'm fucked. I won't survive this time. And I don't ever want to go back to that place because it was the worst place I've ever been in my life. And lastly is, I never give in to my bitch voice. So what is your bitch voice? Your bitch voice is that voice inside that says, hey, it's okay. You can take a little rest today. It's okay to just relax. You earned it. You earned it. You worked out a little bit today. You can eat all that shit, or you can skip the gym today. It's okay. It knows how to push your buttons and pull you just right. Tell that bitch voice to shut the fuck up and switch it over to the boss voice that says, listen, bitch voice, I ain't fucking around today. Shut your mouth and let's get into it. That's all I got for you guys. I guess in closing, a couple things. First is, just be real and honest with where you're at and what you're portraying to the world. And start taking personal responsibility for your well-being. Don't blame other people or circumstances. That's some weak-minded shit that people that are victims do. And a great creator, great quote from the creator of the 75 Hard program, Andy Frisella. He says, personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion. They want you to be fat, so be healthy. They want you to be dumb, so be smart. They want you to be poor, so become rich. And as I always close every podcast each week, go out there and be great this week. The world needs access to your treatments and solutions so people can stay the fuck away from pain pills, injections, and surgeries, which only make things worse. And once again, if you have a problem with my language, don't send me a fucking message. Just stop listening to the show. This is how I talk. And if you're offended by a 38-year-old man swearing, maybe you need to have bigger problems in your life. Appreciate you guys listening, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye. Thanks so much for listening. If you want help on the path to being able to double your income, all while working 50% less and being taken seriously as a healthcare provider, I have some great resources for you. Number one, get access to our free training modules and introduction to my system, the Peak Method. Number two, subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Soft Tissue Revolution. Links to all of this can be found in the show notes. Lastly, if you like the show, please leave us a 5-star review and share it with others that you know it could help.